Exodus chapter 16. Moses has led the Israelites into a place called Elim, where there were wells of water and palm trees. Chapter 16 will see them leave that place. 1. And they took their journey from Elim, and all the congregation of the children of Israel came into the wilderness of Sin, which means bush, which is between Elim and Sinai, on the 15th day of the second month after their departing out of the land of Egypt. This would be 30 days out from that Passover celebration. In Numbers, Moses lists out in detail the number of places where they stopped along the way. And there in Numbers, we learn that before they came to this wilderness, they also made a stop along the Red Sea on the southern part from where they crossed, near a place which was called Merkah, and it was a port, an Egyptian port dating from at least the 15th century BC. 2. And the whole congregation of the children of Israel murmured against Moses and Aaron in the wilderness. 3. And the children of Israel said unto them, Would to God we had died by the hand of the Lord in the land of Egypt, when we sat by the flesh pots, and when we did eat bread to the full, for ye have brought us forth into this wilderness to kill this whole assembly with hunger. So they were accustomed to having pots of flesh cooked and bread, and they had become accustomed to a diet that relied upon the produce of the ground in Egypt. That 430 years they were there, they had not only accustomed themselves to eating grain, but as we move on through, we will find that they will whine because they don't have cucumbers and melons, so their diet has radically changed. Do remember that they had flocks of sheep and herds of cattle, and that would have provided milk and meat. However, they would not have any grain in their diet, to which they had become accustomed, and too much eating out of those flocks and those herds would deplete that source. 4. Then said the Lord unto Moses, Behold, I will rain bread from heaven for you, and the people shall go out and gather a certain rate every day, that I may prove them whether they will walk in my law or not. So they're going to be given enough to eat for a day at a time. 5. And it shall come to pass that on the 6th day they shall prepare that which they bring in, and it shall be twice as much as they gather daily. That would have been preparation for the 7th day or the Sabbath, wherein they would do no work. 6. And Moses and Aaron said unto all the children of Israel, At even then you shall know that the Lord hath brought you out of the land of Egypt. 7. And in the morning then ye shall see the glory of the Lord, for that he heareth your murmurings against the Lord. And what are we that you murmur against us? He is speaking of himself and Aaron. 8. And Moses said, This shall be, when the Lord shall give you in the evening flesh to eat, and in the morning bread to the full, for the Lord heareth your murmurings against which you murmur against him. And what are we? Your murmurings are not against us, but against the Lord. So he is telling these peoples that when they murmur against divine leaders, they are in truth murmuring against God, and that is something that we can take forward from this Old Testament into our own modern day lives. When we murmur and work against a preacher, we are working against God and murmuring against God, just as these people were. We have no cause to get upset and start trying to get rid of preachers unless, one, they are living immoral lives, or two, they are grossly, falsely teaching the scriptures. Otherwise, we are to follow leadership and be cooperative. Nothing can tear up a church pastor than a split in a congregation over a preacher. 9. And Moses spake unto Aaron, saying unto the congregation of the children of Israel, Come near before the Lord, for he hath heard your murmurings. 10. And it came to pass, as Aaron spake unto the whole congregation of the children of Israel, that they looked toward the wilderness, and behold, the glory of the Lord appeared in a cloud. And that would have been that bright Shekinah glory. 11. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, now there are scholars who will say that verses 9 through 12 there should go up ahead of verse 4, and that some ancient scribe put them in the wrong place, and perhaps it does make sense as these 9 and 10, 11, and 12 are instructive. 12. I have heard the murmurings of the children of Israel, speak unto them, saying, At even ye shall eat flesh, and in the morning ye shall be filled with bread, and ye shall know that I am the Lord your God. Again, Yahshua, the sacred name, and of course, bread, the body of Christ for us. 13. And it came to pass that at even the quails came up and covered the camp, and in the morning the dew lay round about the host. So they had an evening meal there out of the quail. It was one time serendipity, and the quail would migrate south across the Mediterranean and fly into Africa or Arabia, and then when it turned spring, they would fly back to into the Sinai, into that area where they were sent in May and June, and that spring migration across the Sinai would have been close to the end of the flight. The birds would have been worn out, and they would have flown low, and they would have possibly even dropped to the ground and have been very easily harvested. So this is one time here on these quail. And when the dew that lay was gone up, behold, upon the face of the wilderness there lay a small round thing, as small as hoarfrost on the ground. And when the children of Israel saw it, they said one to another, It is manna, and that is man-ha in the Hebrew, and it means, what is this? For they wist not what that it was. And Moses said unto them, This is the bread which the Lord hath given you to eat. 16. This is the thing which the Lord hath commanded. Gather of it every man according to his eating an omer. That would have been about 2 pecks. For every man according to the number of your persons, take ye every man for them which are in his tents. In other words, take what you need to feed those for whom you are responsible. 17. And the children of Israel did so, and gathered some more and some less, according to their need, of course. 18. And when they did made it with an omer, he that gathered much had nothing over, and he that gathered little had no lack. They gathered every man according to his eating. They had plenty. And if you'll think about the Word of God and the Jesus Christ, the bread of life, there's always enough to go around. 19. And Moses said, let no man leave of it till the morning. 20. Notwithstanding, they hearkened not to Moses, but some of them left it until the morning, and it bred worms and stank, and Moses was wroth with them. 21. And they gathered it every morning, every man according to his eating, and when the sun waxed hot, it melted. 22. And it came to pass that on the 6th day they gathered twice as much bread, 2 omers for one man, and all the rulers of the congregation came and told Moses. 23. And he said unto them, this is that which the Lord hath said. Tomorrow is the rest of the holy Sabbath unto the Lord. Bake that which you will bake today, that's the quail, and seethe that ye will seethe, boil, in other words, and that which remaineth over lay up for you to be kept until the morning. So they are to cook it up ahead of time on the day of preparation. And 24, they laid it up till the morning as Moses bade, and it did not stink, neither were there any worm therein. 25. And Moses said, eat that today, for today it is the Sabbath unto the Lord. Today you shall not find it in the field. 26. 6 days shall you gather, but on the 7th day, which is the Sabbath, it is there shall be none. 27. And it came to pass that there went out some of the people on the 7th day for to gather, and they found none. They did not obey. 28. And the Lord said unto Moses, how long refuse you to keep my commandments and my laws? 29. See, for that the Lord hath given you the Sabbath, therefore he giveth you on the 6th day the bread of 2 days. Abide ye every man in this place, let no man go out of this place on the 7th day. So the people rested on the 7th day. 31. And the house of Israel called the name thereof manna, and it was like coriander seed, white, and the taste of it was wafers, like wafers made with honey, angels' food. And there are insects in that region which make a secretion that's a white, sweet, like coriander tasting blob. But this is rather like those 9 plagues where God has magnified nature. He has rained great pieces of this lovely, sweet tasting bread from heaven. And there was no way that the insects could have possibly made enough of this secretion to have fed them. 32. And Moses said, this is the thing which the Lord commandeth. Fill an omer of it to be kept for your generations, that they may see the bread wherein I have fed you in the wilderness when I brought you forth from the land of Egypt. God is going to preserve an omer of this bread, and they will carry it with them. And later, this manna will be put in the Ark of the Covenant, and in Jesus' time it would have been in that ark, and the ark in, of course, the holiest of holies. 34, and the Lord commanded Moses, so Aaron laid it up before the testimony to be kept. That testimony, a place of worship, a tent, some kind of a place used for worship until they constructed the tabernacle. 35, and the children of Israel did eat manna 40 years until they came to a land inhabited. They did eat manna until they came unto the borders of the land of Canaan. Now an omer is the 10th part of an ephah, and that would have been a bushel, so it was about a 10th of a bushel is what they gathered. Chapter 17. And all the congregation of the children of Israel journeyed from the wilderness of Sin after their journeys, according to the commandment of the Lord, and pitched in Rephidim. And there was no water for the people to drink. They're thirsting again. Now again, in Numbers, Moses lays out the actual places, and they stopped the first time before they got to this place. They stopped at Depkok, and that was an Egyptian place where they mined copper and turquoise. And another place they stopped was Elish. And now they have another old problem arising again. They don't have any water. 2, wherefore the people did chide with Moses and say, Give us water that we may drink. And Moses said unto them, Why chide you me? Wherefore do ye tempt the Lord? And that's going to be one of the laws. Thou shalt not tempt the Lord thy God. 3, and the people thirsted there for water, and the people murmured against Moses and said, Wherefore is this that thou hast brought us up out of Egypt to kill us and our children and our cattle with thirst? And Moses cried unto the Lord, saying, What shall I do unto this people? They almost be ready to stone me. That's how angry they were. They were ready to take up rocks and kill Moses. 5, and the Lord said unto Moses, Go on before the people, and take with thee of the elders of Israel and thy rod, wherewith thou smotest the river, take in thy hand and go. That rod, as we remember, that shepherd's staff has been empowered with a divine power. 6, behold, I will stand before thee there upon the rock in Horeb, and thou shalt smite the rock, and there shall come up water out of it, and the people may drink. And Moses did so in the sight of the elders of Egypt. And remember that Jacob's pillar was a rock, and they also had that with them. And that rock, that pillar of stone, was also one of the things that was in the Ark of the Covenant, along with Moses' rod. 7, and he called the name of the place Massah, and that means temptation, and Meribah, and that means chide, because of the chiding of the children of Israel, and because they tempted the Lord, saying, Is the Lord among us or not? Doesn't take much for them to fall away and to doubt. 8, then came Amalek. Now Amalek is a grandson of Esau. And remember that Esau was the brother of Jacob, and the Lord said, Jacob I loved, Esau I hated. Esau had brought an offering, not the first fruit, something left over, didn't care, insulted God, likely God hated him because he had been amongst those in that first earth age in the rebellion of Satan and had joined forces with him. So they were going to come up against the Amaleks. They fought with Israel in Rephidim. 9. And Moses said unto Joshua, Choose us men, go out, fight with Amalek. Tomorrow I will stand on the top of the hill with the rod of God in mine hands. 10. So Joshua did as Moses had said to him and fought with Amalek. And Moses, Aaron, and Hur, H-U-R, is the husband of Miriam, their sister, went up to the top of the hill. And it came to pass when Moses held up his hand that Israel prevailed, and when he let down his hand, Amalek prevailed. 12. But Moses' hands were heavy, and they took a stone and put it under him, and he sat thereon. And Aaron and Hur stayed up his hands, the one on one side and the one on the other, and his hands were steady until the going down of the sun. It took everyone working together to win this war against the Amaleks and to keep that rod raised. And Moses built an altar, and the name of it was Jehovah Nissi, and that means the banner of God. For he said, Because the Lord has sworn that the Lord will have war with Amalek from generation to generation, and they certainly did. The book of Samuel documents that the Amaleks came against Saul and then against David, and they were never trampled down until the days of Hezekiah, recorded in the 4th chapter of 1st Chronicles. Now, 15, we're going to meet, if you remember, all the trouble that came about. Zipporah, Moses' wife, was sent back to her father. Her father is called here Jethro. Jethro is not his actual name. Jethro is a title. He was a priest, a title such as we might call a cardinal or a bishop of something like His Grace. It's a title and not a name. And he's a priest of Midian. And let me refresh you that Midian is the offspring of Abraham and his second wife Keturah. And Abraham did not take in the offspring of Keturah into the part of the 12 tribes, those who would inherit the promise, and they scattered, and Midian was one of those persons. And if you've ever watched the 10 Commandments with Charlton Heston, it has a scene with Moses in amongst these nomadic peoples and their shepherds and their offspring of Adam, and they were living in Africa. And to have been a priest, his wife would have had to come from that family too. So Zipporah, the wife of Moses, was an Israelite, an offspring of Abraham and Keturah. When Jethro, the priest of Midian, Moses' father-in-law, heard of all that God had done for Moses and for Israel, his people, and that the Lord had brought Israel out of Egypt, 2. Then Jethro, Moses' father-in-law, took Zipporah, that's his daughter, Moses' wife, after he had sent her back. He sent her back to be with Moses. 3. And her 2 sons, of which the name, the one was Gershom, for he said, I have been an alien in a strange land. and that's what Gershom means. And the name of the other was Eleazar, and remember, that's a priest's name. For the God of my father, said he, was mine help, and delivered me from the sword of Pharaoh. 5. And Jethro, Moses' father-in-law, came with his sons and his wife unto Moses in the wilderness, where he was encamped at the mount of God. 6. And he said unto Moses, I, thy father-in-law Jethro, am come unto thee, and thy wife and her 2 sons with her. He's bringing them back because he has heard that all is well and maybe safe. 7. And Moses went out to meet his father-in-law and did obeisance and kissed him, and they asked each other of their welfare, and they came into the tent. Hospitality. 8. And Moses told his father-in-law all that the Lord had done unto Pharaoh and to the Egyptians for Israel's sake, and all the travail that had come upon them by the way, and how the Lord delivered them. And Jethro rejoiced for all the goodness which the Lord had done to Israel, whom he had delivered out of the hand of the Egyptians. And Jethro said, Blessed be the Lord, who hath delivered you out of the hand of the Egyptians, and out of the hand of Pharaoh, who hath delivered the people from under the hand of God. And to whom did Jethro give the credit? He gave the credit, of course, to God, not to Moses. 11. Now I know that the Lord is greater than all gods, for in the thing wherein they dealt proudly he was above them. 12. And Jethro, Moses' father-in-law, took a burnt offering and sacrifices for God. And Aaron came and all the elders of Israel to eat bread with Moses' father-in-law before God. They made a sacrifice and had a worship. 13. And it came to pass on the morning that Moses sat to judge the people, and the people stood by Moses from the morning unto the evening. Now he's out here acting as a judge, sitting out there all day long. What else did he get accomplished? 14. And when Moses' father-in-law saw all that he did to the people, he said, What is this thing that thou doest to the people? Why sittest thou thyself alone, and all the people stand by thee from morning to evening? 15. And Moses said unto his father-in-law, Because the people come unto me to inquire of God. If they have a dispute, they come and say, Well, now, my lamb was stolen, and can you come to God and get this resolved? Moses is acting as a judge. 16. When they have a matter, they come unto me, and I judge between one and the other, and I do make them know the statutes of God and his laws. 17. And Moses' father-in-law said unto him, This thing that thou doest is not good. Thou wilt surely wear away, both thou and this people that is with thee, for this thing is too heavy for thee. Thou art not able to perform it thyself alone. Hearken now unto my voice, and I will give thee counsel, and God shall be with thee. Be thou for the people to Godward, that thou mayest bring the causes unto God. You be the one taking things to God. 20. And thou shalt teach them ordinances and laws, and shalt show them the way wherein they must walk, and the work they must do. They must be taught. 21. Moreover, thou shalt provide out of all the people able men, such as fear God, men of truth, hating covetousness, and place such over them to be rulers of thousands, and rulers of hundreds, and rulers of fifties, and rulers of tens. In other words, split this up, and you put the smallest people over 10, like we have a corporal in the army over 7 people. 22. And let them judge the people at all seasons, and it shall be that every great matter they shall bring unto thee, but every small matter they shall judge. So shall it be easier for thyself, and they shall bear the burden with thee. So it's going to be, he's suggesting, divide this up in a governmental way, a military way, kind of, that you have commands over small groups and over larger as the ability shows itself. And Moses chose able men out of all of Israel and made them heads over the people, rulers of thousands, rulers of hundreds, rulers of fifties, and rulers of 10. And they judged the people at all seasons. The hard causes they brought unto Moses, in every small matter they judged themselves. And Moses let his father-in-law depart, and he went his way unto his own land. The magnificence of God. Jethro, the offspring of the second wife, and acting as a priest, and having been brought in here and giving this sagely advice to his son-in-law. Let us also do chapter 19. In the 3rd month, when the children of Israel were gone forth out of the land of Egypt, the same day came they into the wilderness of Sinai. Now they've been 46 days at this point since the Passover. For they were departed from Rephidim, and were come to the desert of Sinai, and had pitched in the wilderness, and there Israel camped before the mount. 3. And Moses went up unto God. That's at Sinai. And the Lord called unto him out of the mountain, saying, Thus shalt thou say to the house of Jacob, and tell the children of Israel, 4. Ye have seen what I did unto the Egyptians, and how I bare you on eagle's wings, and brought you unto myself. And we sing a hymn, He will bear us up on eagle's wings. And he has borne Moses up on this mountain supernaturally. 5. Now therefore, if ye will obey my voice indeed, and keep my covenant, then ye shall be a peculiar treasure unto me above all people, for all the earth is mine. Titus 2:14, reference to that verse. And these peoples now, they were chosen. They were peculiar. They were chosen to bring forth a Messiah. They were not favorites. They were simply the people through whom the promises, the faithfulness of Abraham and Jacob. And we are going to see through this book of Exodus how difficult these people can be and how Satan will work his hardest. 6. And ye shall be unto me a kingdom of priests and a holy nation. These are the words which thou shalt speak unto the children of Israel. 8. And all the people answered together and said, All the Lord hath spoken we will do. And Moses returned the words of the people to the Lord. Yes, how long will they hold to that? 9. And the Lord said unto Moses, Lo, I came unto thee in a thick cloud, that the people may hear when I speak with thee, and believe thee forever. And Moses told the words of the people unto the Lord in that thick cloud, because that shining glory would be, as you are going to see, overpowering to the point of death. And the Lord said unto Moses, Go to the people and sanctify them today and tomorrow, and let them wash their clothes, cleansing. And be ready against the 3rd day, for the 3rd day the Lord will come down in the sight of the people upon Mount Sinai. That's the 50th day. 50th day after the Passover is Pentecost. 12. And thou shalt set bounds unto the people round about, saying, Take heed to yourselves that ye go not up to the mount, nor touch the border of it. Whosoever touch the mount shall surely be put to death. Don't dare disobey. The presence of the Lord is mighty, and This is going to be like an electric current, something that we can compare to an electric current, but something we don't understand. And that Ark of the Covenant, it had some kind of charge, because it was the Kohathites who moved that thing, and they put wood through those rings, and wood is a non-conductor, as you know. And then when that ark got hauled off, as we will see as we move through the Pentateuch, and they went down there after it, and they took an ox cart instead of some Kohathites with the staves like they were supposed to. And they started in with it, and someone touched it. They ran the cart over a stone or something and jostled the ark, and person touched it and fell dead. He fell dead from that power of that ark, like an electrocution. And this is why these people are being told, you stay away from that mount. 13, there shall not a hand touch it, but he shall surely be stoned or shot through. Whether it be a beast or man, it shall not live. When the trumpet soundeth long, they shall come up to the mount. When the trumpet sounds, and not before. Not while that Shekinah glory is all around, because it is so powerful as to cause death. 14, and Moses went down from the mount unto the people, and sanctified the people, and they washed their clothes. 15, and he said unto the people, be ready against the third day, come not at your wives, because that would have been an unclean thing. They were to be totally clean. 16, and it came to pass on the third day in the morning that there were thunders and lightnings and a thick cloud upon the mount, and the voice of the trumpet exceeding loud, so that all the people that was in the camp trembled. 17, and Moses brought forth the people out of the camp to meet with God, and they stood at the nether part of the mount. Do not touch. 18, and Mount Sinai was altogether on smoke, because the Lord descended upon it in fire. God is a consuming fire, and the smoke thereof ascended as the smoke of a furnace, and the whole mount quaked greatly. 19, and when the voice of the trumpet sounded long and waxed louder and louder, Moses spake, and God answered him by a voice. We had a shaking like that on Mount St. Helens in the state of Oregon, and it was in the early 80s, and it was on Pentecost Day, if you count from Passover and the clouds when that volcano erupted seemed to have a face. 20, and the Lord came down upon Mount Sinai on the top of the mount, and the Lord called Moses up to the top of the mount, and Moses went up. 21, and the Lord said to Moses, go down, charge the people, lest they break through unto the Lord to gaze, and many of them perish. They'll come up here and just gape, mouths agape and gaze, and they'll be killed, because they won't be able to withstand this great power. 22, and let the priests also, which come near to the Lord, sanctify themselves, lest the Lord break forth upon them. 23, and Moses said unto the Lord, the people cannot come up to Mount Sinai, for thou chargest us, saying, set bounds about the mount, and sanctify it. He'd already told them 3 times. 24, and the Lord said unto him, away, get thee down, and thou shalt come up, thou and Aaron with thee, but let not the priest and the people break through to come up to the Lord, lest he break forth upon them. 25, to conclude this chapter. So Moses went down unto the people, and spake to them. In the next chapter, we will see Moses up on the mount with the Almighty, receiving the commandments. This video is an outreach of the Essex United Methodist Church in Essex, Missouri.